as well. I'm not saying they don't. It's a bit tone deaf. And we're going to find it very difficult to absorb this. Ambassador Mukherjee is with us on the broadcast. Professor Madhav Nalapat is. Let me introduce the others also. I see Gautam Mukherjee and a few others. I think probably Adit. Ambassador Mukherjee, I mean, I'm sure you received this information. It is verified. Yes, they were indeed holding this event. Yes, they've tried to delete the page marking the event, but it's all over their own website. So that ship has now sailed. What do you think was going on?
Yes, Rishabh, that is exactly why I forwarded it to you this morning, because I was suffering from great shock since I have met Lakshmi Mittal and his wife, and I thought that they were patriotic Indians. In fact, they have suffered racism at the hands of the Goras when they initially took over Arcelor, and it was the Indian government and the Indian embassy that stood solidly by them because there were some comments which were made on social media that they are not top drawer or whatever they call it, in the Brits call it, because they are not Goras like them. So India is pretty proud of the contribution of the Mittal family and all that they've done. He chose to give so much of his money to Harvard University, as you correctly say, that he is free to do what he likes. But to imagine the insensitivity and the politics of hosting such an event after the Pahalgam attack and only pulling it down because there has been a host of messaging since this page was put up by indignant Indians globally and in India, questioning his patriotism, his commitment to India, asking whether he is at all aware of the horrific events and how they unfolded, etc. The point is, the event has been held and he has to be held accountable for it. Whoever organized it has to be held accountable. If they organized the event before the Pahalgam massacres took place, they could have just cancelled it. That's it, nothing else. We are not blaming him for organizing the event if it was organized before these horrific massacres. It's a South Asia university, so they would have events for every country in South Asia. But after such a massacre, it is extremely disturbing to think that a man of his position in society and looked up to by millions of Indians here as a representative of an Indian who's made good in the West and who has shown that Indians can achieve anything, for him to do this is to actually let down his motherland, his own country, to let down India and to let down the people of India who have stood firm in the efforts of Pakistan to divide us after this event. And to do such a thing also implies that maybe he's made so much of money now, Rishabh, that he doesn't care anymore for his own money.
No, they messed this one up, and the billions don't save you if you messed it up, and this is a mess up because I could not believe this happened. I remember the time when our Commerce Minister Kamal Nath was deputed to go out of his way to support diplomatically whatever we could do an Indian entrepreneur who had become a steel magnate, ran Mittal Steel very well, and when the takeover happened 2006 of Arcelor, which was in France, and the French politicians did not want an Indian buying that company. And I remember Kamal Nath was deputed. I remember this vividly. It was well reported. In fact, let's pull this out. Can we take us this screen here? Here we go. So when you needed India's help, you remembered your roots. India EU backed Mittal's bid on Arcelor. This is February 2006. Kamal Nath and EU Trade Minister Mandelson criticized politicians in France who were opposed to the takeover bid. Okay, and the takeover bid was successful. Speaking, Kamal Nath went to the extent of hinting that French moves against Mittal's company could even trigger a trade war. So he stuck his neck out, okay, as government on this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just open something else. This is the Mittal South Asia Institute. This is the official page where all of this was. This is the Harvard University page. Here are the people who are the people who run it. Tarun Khanna, who is the director. George Paolo Lehman, who's their, I'm assuming, academic representative. Hitesh Hathi, Mirela Vaso. They have a director of business operations and finance, believe it or not. and then there are various directors and fellows, and some of them, it goes on and on. Project staff, then in region staff, because they have an office in India as well, and then of course there are various fellows. Now, I'm going to address this first before I come to Harvard University, because I remember what happened to Shah Faisal when he visited Harvard University. But Professor Madhav Nalapat, I mean, I'm very happy to hear that $57 billion is not enough money for Harvard. They needed Mr. Mittal's money as well. I'm glad he gave it to him. It's an educational institution of repute, so he's contributing to that. Very good of him. But why would they want to be hosting people who are well known for propaganda for Pakistan, who represent the Pakistani state and establishment in Harvard? To do what? To apologize, you'd think, for Pahalgam, to feel bad about the sponsoring of terrorism for the last 80 years? What do you think they were going to introspect on?
Look, quite frankly, I am as appalled as you are that this event took place. As you correctly said, Lakshmi Mittal has Indian ethnic roots, and the country was proud of the fact that through him, the reality is that it was shown that those with ethnic roots in India can achieve the best. And that's what annoyed some of the Goras, and they made comparisons to him and, compared him to some, I'm not even going to name, but they were not human beings. So in that situation, frankly, in my view, the Lakshmi deserted Lakshmi Mittal when he bought Arcelor, because Arcelor's share price fell very sharply, and whoever are the Goras who sold Arcelor to him, they made a killing out of it. And frankly, he took a huge bath, as they say, in the world of finance. The reality is that, I'm not sure who was responsible for organizing such a ridiculous event, but even if we had sympathies for Pakistan, the reality is this casts Pakistan in a very bad light. It casts Pakistan indelibly as a terror state, justifying terror. And South Asia Institute, I would say, at the minimum, the persons responsible for green lighting this kind of a symposium ought to be sent packing. They do not belong to a South Asia university. They belong to a Pakistan Army Institute, and not at all to South Asia, which frankly, you have got multiple countries there, but it's wrong to call it that, because India is the one country that has got borders with every other country in South Asia, and no other country has borders with any other country except India. So this man has to be dismissed. And if he's not dismissed, frankly, I'm afraid a lot of calumny is going to come on the Mittal family. The good name he has in India will be very severely affected. So I think at an absolute minimum, I think we should expect that the Mittal family will dismiss the individual responsible for this. And even if this individual had pro-Pakistan sympathies, what he has done, frankly, is further evidence of the fact that people of those sympathies, they have completely a soft corner for terror. They don't see terror at all. They see a legitimate instrument of warfare. They see the murder of innocents by these terrorists as perfectly legitimate acts of war. And that's really very shocking. So I think such a person deserves to be in the institute where his mindset will be, or her mindset will be appreciated, which is a Pakistan Army Institute, not the South Asia Center. And the least I would expect Lakshmi Mittal to do, absolute least, would be to send this individual packing, because a total disgrace to Harvard University. Harvard University is known for its woke, for its tolerance.
I'm coming on Harvard in a second, sir. I want to, because I mentioned Shah Faisal. Okay, I'm going to come on that, and for viewers who've forgotten about that episode, I'll shed light to it. Let me quickly get both Adit and Gautam here. Adit, so 22nd April, I think within an hour or two, we've all seen the videos. Okay, I refuse to believe that these individuals who were sitting at the South Asia Institutes, Mr. Tarun Khanna, the director, Hitesh Hathi, the executive director, Mirela Vaso, Kartike Bhatotia, Carlin Carr, and well, lots of foreigners there, lots of Indians as well. Okay, Anjali Jain, Shubhangi Bhadada, Monica Setia, Shreya Majumdar, Angarika Datta, Sushma Mehta, Amit Chaudhary, Yuvika Parasal, Anjali Jain, Mariam Chaktai, Pukar Mala, who happens to be in Kathmandu, that none of them saw the video. And
No.
they saw it, right? And then 5 days later, they host the who's who of the Pakistani state, the who's who, okay, the creme de la creme of their propagandists. And they host them, and I can assume that these conferences you are wined and dined and well looked after.
Wined and dined. There was a Qawwali function there. Mohammad Aurangzeb, who's the current serving finance minister of Pakistan, he was there. The Pakistani ambassador to United States, he was there. So obviously, this was a completely ISI sponsored program at the end of the day, where they were essentially platforming the establishment's agenda, the Garrison Fort's agenda within the social sciences divisions of Western universities. Now let's draw a parallel here. You do well to remember October 7th happened, and Jewish businessmen globally who had endowments running within various Western academic institutions, they were retracting their funding from all of these universities because the social sciences divisions in particular were running feral agendas platforming Hamas. And that is what the Jewish businessmen did. In contrast, what do the Indian businesses do? And this is just not about the Lakshmi Mittals of the world. You have the Anand Mahindras, you have Mukesh Ambani, you have the Piramils, you have the Narayan Murthys. All of them for decades have been providing endowments specifically to the social sciences divisions within Western universities who work extremely hard to peddle a very rather anti-India and anti-Hindu narrative. The Chinese, on the other hand, they are the largest donors in the Western universities, but they focus largely on STEM sciences and AI, while they also ensure that the universities do not define China with their myopic prism. Whereas, we are seeking cheap validation from Western universities. We use their platform as businesses to basically create networks and further our myopic business interests, and that is what most of these Indian businessmen and business houses are predominantly interested in. They are interested in their children to get easy admissions into these universities, and that is the sad reality of it. And the bitter truth is that the Indian government, the Indian diaspora in these Western countries, and the people in India at large are not holding these businesses accountable.
No, we are confused. So again, you've seen the videos, you know what has happened. Okay, so you can make a judgment call. I've told you who these people were. Okay, here on your screens, this is it. I'm glad to see the Pakistan flag was flying high at Harvard University 5 days after what happened in Pahalgam. Happy to see that the Pakistan flag was flying with the American flag, and Hamid Mir there speaking. You can see a whole bunch of these people sitting. This is the closing day. You have the former Akram Raja there. He spent time in Pakistan, in the Pakistani establishment. What do you think they were discussing? Now I'm not going to play out what they were saying. Bridging divides and building a tomorrow, Pakistan 2025 conference at Harvard. What do you think they were discussing? Okay, right? I'm sure they were all, as they were taking Q&As, becoming very stressed out about Pakistan's legacy. I remember Hamid Mir became very famous for interviewing Osama bin Laden. I wish him the best in his career, but he's lived through difficult times in Pakistan. What do you think they were discussing? Let me put that question to Gautam Mukherjee. Gautam Mukherjee, I'm sure what was happening at this conference was grief and attrition, and they were all holding back their tears and their shock and disgust.